I stood by the fake marble column near the open bar, clutching a half-empty glass of flat soda. The music thumped, and people danced like this was prom night instead of a corporate banquet. It was my wife Alyssa's big event, her company's annual celebration, and I had done my part. I ironed a shirt. I even shaved. I came to support her. But apparently I didn't exist. She was over near the DJ booth, laughing with Darren, some slick-looking guy from her marketing department. The kind with fake charm and cap teeth that flashed like he practiced smiling in the mirror. Alyssa was 2 drinks in, maybe 3. She touched his arm, leaned in close, whispered something that made him throw his head back laughing. Then she laughed too, this high, breathy sound I hadn't heard in months. I stood 3 feet away, invisible. She didn't even glance at me. I told myself not to overreact, not to cause a scene. This wasn't the place. But the way her hand lingered on his sleeve, it wasn't just tipsy friendliness. I'd seen that kind of touch before. Hell, I'd been on the receiving end of it when we first started dating. I watched for another hour, just waiting for her to acknowledge me. Introduce me to someone. Bring me a drink. Nothing. Like she had invited a prop instead of her husband. It was during dessert that I made up my mind. I slipped away from the main ballroom, pulled the envelope from inside my coat pocket. Thick, cream-colored paper, the kind that made you think something good was inside. I had printed everything at home, photos, receipts, timelines. Truth, basically. The kind you can't look away from. When I came back in, she was still next to Darren, her fingers brushing the rim of her wine glass. She saw me walking toward her and gave me this casual smile like I was just popping by to say hi. I handed her the envelope. Thought you might want to see this, I said. Her smile faltered. She took it slowly, her eyes narrowing like she already knew. Her hands trembled as she pulled open the flap. And then something happened that I didn't expect. The DJ stopped the music. Mid-beat. Like someone had yanked the cord. Everyone froze. All eyes turned toward us. Or rather, toward her. She opened the envelope, and the moment she saw the first photo, her with Darren, poolside in Phoenix, her face went pale. Her lips parted. Not in guilt. In fear. She knew. She knew what was coming. And for a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then she looked up at me with that same shocked face she wore when she realized I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. Darren leaned over, saw the page she was holding, and practically jumped backward like it burned him. He looked around the ballroom and then, without a word, turned and walked off into the crowd. People stared. Her boss, a heavy-set man in a gray suit, walked over slowly. He peered into the envelope, saw the second page, and muttered under his breath, "You've got to be kidding me, Alyssa." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I didn't wait. I turned and walked away. The silence behind me said more than shouting ever could. Let her explain. Let her feel the weight of it. Let everyone see. That envelope didn't just stop the party. It ended the performance. And maybe finally it ended whatever we were pretending to be. About a month before the banquet, Alyssa told me she had to fly out to Phoenix for a 3-day work seminar. She was casual about it. Just mentioned it over breakfast like it was no big deal. I was pouring coffee and she was buttering a bagel. Won't be gone long, she said, not looking up. Just 3 days. Marketing strategy conference. Boring stuff. You want me to drive you to the airport? I asked. She shook her head a little too fast. No, it's early. I'll grab an Uber. That was the first small thing that felt off. We always dropped each other off at the airport even if it meant waking up at 4 in the morning. We'd made a little tradition of it. She'd buy me a bad gas station coffee on the way and I'd kiss her twice before she got out. But this time? No coffee. No kiss. No ride. Just silence and a disappearing tail light. I didn't say anything right then, but the feeling stuck to my ribs. The first night she was gone, I sent her a quick text, "Hope the hotel's nice. Miss you." She responded with busy, but good. Talk tomorrow. That was it. No emojis, no love you, no photo of the hotel room or her dinner. Alyssa usually sent me 100 little updates when she traveled. She once texted me a 10-second video of a vending machine in Detroit because they had weird granola bars. But this time? Nothing. Day 2 rolled around. I checked her social media just out of habit. Alyssa was always online, posting photos of brunches, sunsets, overpriced cocktails. But this time? Not a single post. No filtered skyline. No motivational quote over a photo of hotel carpet. That was when the pit in my stomach started to take shape. I told myself to stop being paranoid, to trust her. But then I remembered the name of the conference, West Coast Marketing Summit. She had mentioned it in passing. So I looked it up, pulled up the official schedule. It had ended the day before. Not ends tomorrow. Not still in session. No. It was already over. The last keynote speaker had finished at noon. And yet, there she was, still supposedly in Phoenix, not flying back until the following night. That's when my gut stopped whispering and started yelling. When she got home the next evening, she wheeled her suitcase inside and kissed me on the cheek like everything was normal. She looked tan. Not like Arizona in a conference hall tan. Like poolside with a margarita tan. How was it? I asked. She sighed dramatically. Tiring. So much sitting. Those chairs were brutal. I nodded, even though I knew the chairs had stopped being a problem 24 hours earlier. She walked past me into the kitchen, humming to herself like she wasn't hiding something. And I let it go. For the moment. Not because I believed her, but because I didn't want it to be true. I didn't sleep that night. My mind wouldn't shut off. I kept replaying everything. The Uber. The quiet texts. The silence online. The seminar that had already ended. I thought about asking her again, pressing her, digging deeper. But I knew she'd just spin it. She'd have an excuse. Something polished and tidy that made me feel like I was the crazy one. So instead I waited. And I started digging, not because I wanted to catch her, but because I couldn't sleep without knowing. A few days later, I was chatting with one of my coworkers over lunch. Josh. Older guy, divorced twice, great at reading people. He used to live in Phoenix before moving back east. I mentioned casually that Alyssa had stayed at a place called the Solara Grand. She'd sent me one photo of the view from the balcony. Josh leaned in, squinting. Wait, that looks like the Cedra Resort. It's in Scottsdale. Adults only, real swanky. I took my second wife there once. Solara doesn't even have balconies like that. I froze. You're sure? Positive. I remember the tile pattern. My ex made me take 1,000,000 photos. I nodded slowly. Took another bite of my sandwich. The puzzle pieces weren't just not fitting, they were from the wrong box. Her trip wasn't just suspicious. It was fake. She hadn't gone to learn about branding. She'd gone to be with someone. And now I just needed to figure out who. I waited until she went to bed one night, then pulled her trip photos from our shared cloud folder. There were only 3, way less than usual. One was of her cocktail on a patio table. Another was a blurry sunset. The last was the balcony view. That last one was the one I ran through a reverse image search. And that's when everything locked into place. It wasn't the Solara Grand. Josh was right. The tile design, the railing, even the shape of the furniture, it all matched the Cedra Resort in Scottsdale. I checked the resort's website. No business facilities. No conference halls. No group events on their calendar that week. It was adults only, couples-oriented, and ridiculously expensive. This wasn't a seminar. It was a getaway. I checked our shared credit card next. I hadn't looked closely before. Maybe I didn't want to. But now? I combed through every line. 2 separate in-room dining charges. Both on the same night. Both clearly listed as dinner for 2. There was also a spa package billed under her name, Cedra Signature Couples Massage. That was the moment I knew. Not suspected. Knew. Still, I needed more. Something undeniable. Something that would shatter any lie she might try to spit out. I created a burner Instagram account, some fake profile with a puppy and travel quotes. Followed a few of her coworkers, including Darren. His profile was private, but his main photo was public. I stared at it for a long time. He was wearing sunglasses, standing by a pool, drink in hand. Tagged, Scottsdale, Arizona. Same weekend. I zoomed in. And there she was. Clear as day, reflected in the left lens of his sunglasses. Lounging in a chair behind him, her signature necklace resting just above her tank top. The same necklace she swore she lost at TSA 2 weeks ago. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding. My hand shaking slightly, I took a screenshot. Then another. Then another. Receipts. Credit card statements. Hotel website screenshots. The spa invoice. His post. Her necklace. I laid it all out in a Word doc, adding dates and labels. Like building a case file. Because at this point, that's exactly what it was. She thought she was smarter than me. Thought she was slick. But she'd gotten sloppy. You don't post poolside photos if you're supposed to be taking notes in a beige conference room. You don't rack up 2-person meals and couples massages unless you think no one's watching. She thought I wasn't watching. I printed every page. Color, high quality, double-sided. Sealed it all inside a nice, clean envelope. And I put it in my desk drawer. That's where it sat for 3 weeks. I stared at it every morning. Thought about showing it to her every night. But that would have been too easy. I didn't just want her to know that I knew. I wanted him to know too. So I waited for the banquet. Her favorite night of the year. Everyone she admired would be there, bosses, coworkers, clients. She spent 2 weeks picking out her dress. Got her nails done, her hair colored, even bought new heels. She wanted to look perfect. I let her. The day of the banquet, she was buzzing like a teenager before prom. She checked the mirror 5 times. Asked me twice if her necklace looked okay. Funny how she never realized it was the same one in the reflection of his sunglasses. I ironed my shirt. The one she always said made me look boring but reliable. Perfect. I slid the envelope into my coat pocket. As we drove to the hotel ballroom, she talked about how excited she was. How proud she felt. How much she loved working with such a talented team. She didn't say Darren's name. She didn't have to. When we pulled up to the valet, she leaned over and kissed me on the cheek. Thanks for coming tonight, she said. I know this stuff isn't really your scene. I smiled. It's all right, I said. Could be fun. She didn't notice my hand resting on the envelope inside my jacket. Didn't see the way I looked at her. Like a man waiting for the lights to go out before he flipped the switch. Because when the curtain fell and her perfect little act collapsed, I wanted there to be an audience. She was laughing when I walked up. That fake, flirty laugh she only used when she wanted something. Darren stood beside her, holding a glass of red wine like it was a prop. They were leaning in close, sharing some joke that apparently didn't require me to be part of it. Her hand was resting on his arm. Not lightly. Not casually. Like it had been there before and felt comfortable. I stopped right in front of them. Darren saw me first. His smile wobbled. Alyssa turned halfway toward me, that same polite mask still on. Hey, babe, she said, like I was interrupting her during a Zoom call. You okay? I reached into my jacket and pulled out the envelope. My hand didn't shake. I had rehearsed this moment too many times. Thought you might want to see this, I said. Her face went blank. Not confused. Not surprised. Blank, like something deep inside her just shut off. She took the envelope with both hands, fingers trembling. She opened the flap slowly, like she already knew what was inside. She saw the first photo and froze. Her breath caught in her throat. The color drained from her face. It was like watching someone realize their parachute didn't open. Darren leaned over, trying to peek. I didn't stop him. I wanted him to see. I wanted his night to go down in flames too. He saw the second photo, him in the sunglasses, her reflection behind him, and physically flinched. Jesus, he muttered under his breath. Then he stepped back. Way back. Like the paper was on fire. You've been following me? Alyssa's voice came out as a hiss, her eyes wide with panic. Are you serious right now? I didn't say a word. I just stood there. Let the silence fill in the blanks. That's when her boss walked over. Tall guy, salt and pepper hair, sharp suit. He looked down at the pages in her hand. Read one of them. Then his jaw tensed. You've got to be kidding me, Alyssa, he said under his breath, more disappointment than anger. She tried to speak, nothing came out. Darren took another step back and placed his drink on the table without saying a word. I could see him mentally checking out. Coward didn't even try to defend her. I watched him turn and walk away. Just disappeared into the crowd. Not even a goodbye. She tried to follow, but I stepped in front of her. We'll talk at home, I said quietly. Not here. Her eyes pleaded, like I'd just thrown her to the wolves. But I wasn't going to let her control the timing anymore. Not this time. The music had stopped. I hadn't even noticed. The DJ just stood there, looking confused. Someone must have told him to cut it. The ballroom had gone dead silent. Alyssa clutched the envelope to her chest like it might protect her. She looked around at the crowd, seeing the stares, the whispers, the coworkers pretending not to notice. Her face crumpled, but she didn't cry. Not yet. I can explain. I shook my head once. No. She took a step closer, voice low and frantic. Please. Please don't tell HR. This isn't what it looks like. I actually smiled. You should save that line for Darren's wife. That's when her face truly collapsed. She realized I wasn't just aiming to hurt her. I'd already sent a copy of the envelope to the other woman involved in this circus. She opened her mouth to argue, to lie, to twist the narrative. But before she could say anything, someone from across the room, someone near the catering table, let out a small gasp. And just like that, the air got sucked out of the room all over again. Nobody danced the rest of the night. The DJ stood behind his booth, staring at his laptop like he was waiting for a reboot. People whispered. A few left early. Her boss slipped out quietly. Alyssa just stood there, stunned, holding those pages like they were her own autopsy report. I turned and walked out of the ballroom. Behind me, I heard her call my name once. Quiet, fragile. But I didn't turn around. I had said everything I needed to say. without saying a word. We drove home in silence. Not the tense kind. Not the kind where someone keeps sighing to bait a conversation. This was absolute silence. The only sound was the hum of the tires against the pavement and the quiet tap of her fingernail on the envelope still clutched in her lap. She cried most of the way. Soft at first, then messy. The kind of crying that leaves your voice wrecked for days. But I didn't reach for her. Didn't say a word. My hands stayed on the wheel, eyes straight ahead. When we pulled into the driveway, she didn't move. I didn't want it to happen like that, she said, barely a whisper. I still didn't answer. Just got out, walked around the car, and opened the passenger door. She looked up at me like she expected some kind of lecture or a fight, or maybe even forgiveness. What she got was a small black suitcase sitting on the porch. I had packed it that morning, just in case. You can stay at your sister's, I said flatly. Or wherever. She blinked like she hadn't heard me. You're kicking me out? No, I said. You walked out a long time ago. I'm just holding the door open. She sat there for a second longer, then slowly got out. Grabbed the suitcase without another word. I didn't even watch her walk down the street. I just went inside, locked the door behind me, and let the silence swallow the place whole. The next morning I filed for divorce. No drama. No drawn-out conversation. Just filled out the paperwork, met with the lawyer I'd already called 2 weeks ago, and signed the first set of documents. That same week, I called her company's HR department and asked for a formal report to confirm Darren and Alyssa were on the same team. They were. That kicked off the internal investigation. By Friday, Darren had resigned. I'm guessing that envelope hit his wife a little harder than expected. I heard through the grapevine she left him the same day. Alyssa didn't get fired, but they moved her. No more marketing lead. No more big presentations. They stuck her in a cubicle with a headset and a folder full of complaint calls. Poetic. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel victorious. It was just quiet. The house was still mine. She didn't fight me on that. I think she knew better. Knew what she did forfeited any ground she might have stood on. A few of her friends tried texting me. Can we talk? Are you okay? She's really hurting right now. I left every message on read. Not out of pettiness. Just clarity. These were the same people who laughed with her at that banquet while she pretended I didn't exist. Funny how fast people want to switch sides when the ship starts sinking. A week later, I got a message from Darren's wife. Her name was Marissa. She thanked me, told me she'd found the rest of the evidence in his phone after she got the envelope. She had already filed for custody. If you ever need me to testify, I wrote back, you've got my number. That was it. Alyssa started calling me every day. First it was once, then 3 times, then a dozen. I blocked her number. She started using other ones. Please, can we just talk? I miss you. This isn't me. I made a mistake. You were everything. I didn't respond to any of it. One night, my phone rang around 2 a.m. The caller ID just said unknown. I didn't answer, but I listened to the voicemail the next morning. It was her. Quiet. Shaky. You don't have to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I ruined everything. I see that now. I deleted the message. A week later, she finally stopped. I figured she'd given up. Then I got a text from her sister. She got served today. It read, not surprised, honestly. Just wish you'd done it sooner. I stared at the screen for a minute, then closed it. No reply, because I was done. She lost more than just me. She lost the version of her life where she kept both worlds and paid no price. Now, she was stuck with the wreckage, and I was finally free of it. The house sold faster than I expected. Good market timing, decent neighborhood, clean paperwork. I didn't even walk through it one last time. I just signed the closing documents and handed over the keys. She got her half. I didn't fight it. I didn't want anything that still smelled like our old life. We split the furniture. I kept the couch I actually liked, the one she always said was too plain. She took the dining table with the fancy inlays. Fine by me. We never really used it anyway except to argue over bills or make stiff small talk during dinner. We also split the dog. Except we didn't. She said she didn't have time for him anymore now that her commute had doubled and she was adjusting to her new role. I nodded and said he stays with me. She didn't argue. I moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. Just a one-bedroom with squeaky floors and a view of the back alley. But it was quiet. Clean. Honest. And it was mine. I started going to the gym again. Not to impress anyone, not to reinvent myself, just to feel like I could breathe again. There's something therapeutic about lifting something heavy and putting it back down. Simple. Predictable. Unlike marriage. The first night I signed the final divorce papers, a couple of buddies from work took me out for beers. We sat at a cheap bar with sticky tables, played darts, and swapped dumb stories from our 20s. One of them looked at me and said, "Man, you look lighter. Like you finally exhaled." And I realized he was right. I hadn't smiled like that in months. I stopped checking her social media. Deleted the apps. Blocked her email. I didn't want to know how she was doing. I wasn't curious. Whatever train wreck she was living now, it wasn't my business anymore. Some people look back and wonder what could have been. I didn't. Because I saw it clearly now. The cracks had always been there. I just kept painting over them. What we had wasn't a partnership. It was a performance. And the minute the audience left, the minute the lights came up, it all fell apart. I haven't seen her since. Don't plan to. Sometimes I still think about that night at the banquet. The silence. The envelope. The look on her face when she realized the curtain had dropped. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. She lied. She cheated. She gambled everything on someone who didn't even stick around to face the music. I lost a wife. But I got my self-respect back. And that was worth more than any vow we ever made. Funny thing is, I still iron my shirts sometimes. Habit, I guess. It's weirdly calming, pressing out the creases, smoothing things over. But these days I don't do it for someone else. I do it for me. And that's enough.